stairs. Perfect. So Thursday morning PC. I would like you guys to let me know. We'll start off this morning with what everybody has going on. I know the market is tight, being totally honest. And I have some buyers that I've been working with on Saturday. I wrote an offer, $21,000 over asking with no inspection, pre-approved, and did not get it. How are you guys doing? They were so heartbroken. I feel terrible. I showed them another house yesterday and they said, we just can't believe it. I said, my only guess, and of course they wanted to know what the house went for, and it isn't always price. Keep that in mind. Your contingencies way heavier than price a lot of times, depending on what's going on. I have a listing coming up and they want to get it on the market. They want to go live, but they don't want to move until after the kids go to, after the kids are out of school because the market is so hot. So we put together a timeline. We put together a plan. We're going to go live probably 3 weeks, but in the same token, they're going to have to stay in that house until June 5th. So that will definitely be something that will need occupancy until that point in time. So keep in mind, always talk to that listing agent to see what is the most important thing for those sellers. My guess is on this offer, there was no appraisal contingency. These are first-time home buyers. They do not have an extra $20,000 to bring to the table. They don't. And as their buyer's agent, I would feel absolutely terrible if anything went wrong. And another thing with new home buyers, unless if they're really, really comfortable, I don't usually do no inspection, but his dad came to the second showing with us. His dad owns some rental properties and he asked me about not doing the inspection contingency. So I had to talk with him on the side. And I said, I don't usually do this for first-time home buyers, especially with talking with your son and daughter-in-law. They're not very handy. They said they could probably YouTube it, but painting might be a challenge. I'm going, oh my gosh. Okay, so replacing a hot water heater may be a problem, but he says, I will help the kids and move this forward. And if it gives them the upper hand on things, we can definitely take out that inspection contingency. And I said, if you feel comfortable, I said, but let's go downstairs. Oh, let's go downstairs and look at that furnace. So we kicked the furnace up. I said, we can't do anything with the air conditioning. And then we were talking about home warranty. And usually I always write in the offer that the seller pays for a home warranty, just because I have had people use it a lot. And I think it's very important. But because we're on such a tight wire here with writing offers, I did tell them that I would pay for their home warranty. Just because, like I said, I really like them. And we're just, there was 2 other houses that they liked, but they were thinking about writing an offer. And, you try and tell them, we don't have a lot of time to think here. And then the next morning they said, okay, we want to write. And I said, oh, too late. It's already gone. So I'm really, really trying to help these people to get through. And so that's kind of where we're at. Anybody in the class have something go on this week? Something funky, something you have a question with? How about something good?
I did my first multifamily yesterday.
Okay.
And so I was just surprised that it's the same form as single family and that you just add that addendum R.
Yep.
So that was fun, a good experience.
So with a residential offer to purchase, we can go up to a 4-family. After that, you have to work with your multifamily offers. So keep in mind, if you are dealing with a multifamily, you will also have that addendum R and addendum O with occupancy, because there will be tenants. There will be a transfer of security deposits. So make sure that you guys are working with somebody and covering all of your bases, because there is extra paperwork. Because when you get to closing, I'm going to use round numbers. If it's a 4-family and you come to closing and you didn't get that $1,000 per unit security deposit, you just lost $4,000 for your buyers, because that security deposit needs to be transferred over. So that's why we take you guys for your first 5 transactions and really keep an eye on you to make sure that your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed, and that all the money's transfer and the warranties and everything else. So Anything else funky go on with that, Bridget?
Nope, that was about it.
Okay.
I had so I have buyers who have lost out on 2 different houses. Their budget's tight up to 180, obviously in the prime areas. So yesterday we showed them 2 different houses that were kind of just too much of a fixer-upper for them. And then like late afternoon, another house came on the market. We got in right away at like 5:30 and they wanted to write. So I called the listing agent. And she's like, oh, well, we're doing binding acceptance on Sunday. And I was like, well, the offer is already in hand with the buyer to sign. And our binding acceptance is today at noon. So we'll work on it, whatever. And turns out I wake up today and the house is like the listing's in expired status. And it changed
Really?
over at midnight last night. So I don't know if she accidentally put it in the MLS to expired.
That's interesting. Did you call her?
Yeah, I called her, emailed her, texted her. She's not really responsive in the moment.
Okay.
But I hope this is going to work at my advantage.
You never know. You never know. So did you call her before you wrote your offer?
Yeah, I called her, texted her, emailed her. She didn't answer. And I'm
Okay.
like, I got to get this in.
Yep.
And then my buyers were reviewing the offer to sign it when she
Okay.
told me binding acceptance is Sunday. But her clients only have or her sellers only have a 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. showing window throughout the whole week. And when I was looking at the showing time, there were maybe 2 showings today, but there were no showings booked for Friday or Saturday or Sunday.
That's interesting.
Which is weird because it's a nice house. So so I don't
Something
know.
weird is going on with that one.
Right. But I'm hoping it'll all work out in my advantage.
I hope so. I hope so. So if people are only showing the house from 4 to 7, maybe mom is home with the kids. I mean, there's always different things, or maybe they work at home and they don't want people coming in and out during work hours. I mean, there's a lot of different things going on with showings. With COVID going on, Waukesha County is a lot different than Milwaukee County. And with those overlapping showings, if you can't get in, because I've tried to get in and I've actually booked showings at 7 o'clock in the morning on a live new listing that came up, and there was only 2 slots left. And this is at 7 o'clock in the morning. So if you guys sleep in late, your grandparents probably told you at one point in time, the early bird catches the worm. When you're looking for something specific, you need to get up early in the morning and check that hot sheet on MLS. And I'm going to go through some of the MLS stuff for you guys today on finding classes, CMAs, and work with that, just so you guys can find your classes and look for things. But get up in the morning, and the very first thing that you guys should do is check that hot sheet. So if you have your app on your phone, on the lower bar for MLS, the MLS Pro, all you have to do is hit the little fire thing, and that's the hot sheet, and it will come up for your settings. So I check Waukesha County because I mainly work in Waukesha County every morning as soon as I get up, sometimes before coffee, hopefully after coffee, so I notice everything. And check that hot sheet and make sure, you know, what is rolling up. So in a normal market in Waukesha County, we have between 30 and 40 houses come to the market every day. In a normal market. Anybody know how many we've had since January 1st per day, average?
4.
Pardon?
I say 4.
It's been between 6 and 20
Ugh.
new listings a day. And it's usually 30 to 40. So when we say that the market is tight and the inventory is low, I mean, those are your numbers right there. So today we had 13. And that includes, you know what, you guys for single families are probably closer to the mark. That include, because I look for vacant land, multifamily, commercial, and residential. And that's all there's been. So it's crazy. I mean, some days 2 houses for all of Waukesha County. Oh my gosh. So keep in mind, you really have to be on the ball. We have a couple of newer agents. I'm glad to see some of you newer agents are here. We have some newer agents. They don't respond for like 3 days. You're never going to do anything. You're not going to get anything done if it takes you 3 days to respond. So just, this is a business. And those of you who have a couple of deals going on, you know that we have to be on the ball and quick response times. Come on in. We got lots of new people.
Do you see it as
I
all
know.
the pent-up moving that wanted to occur happened last year? Or
Pardon?
do you see it that all the pent-up moving that wanted to occur over the last few years happened last year and everything is worn out now? Or why do you?
No. So the question is, Alex said, do you think with all the sales that we had last year, everybody moved who wanted to move? No. We're in a changing market. Houses are selling in a shorter period of time that they used to. The average was 7 years that somebody will move every 7 years. I think it's getting shorter just because everybody's a little bit more transient. And especially now with COVID, either people are A, staying where they are, or B, you can work anywhere. So I know of many people who are buying houses in Florida. Florida is a hot market right now also because you can work anywhere. I have some friends actually leaving on Tuesday. They're going down to Florida for 5 weeks because they can. Yeah. They both work from home, so you can go wherever you want. It's, Anybody else have anything good going on this week?
I have another random question. What do you think about Zillow buying Showing Time?
No, we're not going to discuss that. Anybody have anything good going on this week? Potential referral.
Because it's a coworker of mine that I set her up on the neighborhood nurture thing.
Okay, so it was set up on a neighborhood nurture.
And she just sent me an email saying, oh my gosh, that's my neighbor's condo. Did it sell? Oh, by the way, my daughter and boyfriend are looking to buy. Can you connect them with a lender?
Awesome. Okay, so just by having somebody on a neighborhood nurture, and you guys all know what a neighborhood nurture is? Okay, so by having her friend on a neighborhood nurture, she called Bethany and said, so did that house sell? Oh, by the way, my daughter is looking for a house. Can you set her up with a lender? So just by having that drip of coming into her email on that neighborhood nurture, she got a hit off of it. Now, keep in mind, if you have people who are moving out of state, out of the area, I have a closing this week that the buyers are moving from Sun Prairie. They're going to be putting their house on the market next month. They do not have a realtor yet. I am going to refer them to an agent in Madison. Oh yeah, and I'm not going to do anything and make 25%. So send out those referrals, even if people are in different cities. I made a lot of money last year by referrals. Like, yes, you can set it up through command, but still make that personal phone call. Make that personal phone call. Make sure you take care of your people and work through those referrals. So we can work anywhere in the world. So Keller Williams, we have offices in Costa Rica. We have them over in Europe. So we can connect people anywhere for vacation homes, for first homes. And keep in mind that the interest rates are still really, really low. Keller Mortgage works throughout the country. We got our Florida house at 2.5% on a 30-year fixed. At 2.5%, I couldn't afford not to buy. I mean, it's free money. So, pardon? Yep, it was through Keller Mortgage. So they just popped everything in. Being an agent of Keller Williams, I got $1,000 off closing costs. And then I got another $1,000 off because of the amount that we purchased. So, yeah. Okay, anybody else? Anything good this week? Come on, gang. Nobody did anything all week? Yeah, we do. We need houses.
I have so many like maybes. Yeah, I feel like 4 maybe listings in my back pocket, but they don't want to do anything because they're scared.
Where are they gonna go?
Yeah, right. They're afraid they have to list.
Yes. Yes.
I'm like, oh, well, like one refinance, and they have to wait till June, one might be moving on a state, but they have to wait on a job. Like, there's just so many things.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
So I found out about 2 possible listings this week. I left them messages. And then I went right to their house. I brought a pre-listing packet right to their house, knocked on their door. The first one, her best friend is a realtor. So I ended up talking with her for like 45 minutes anyways. And, they are building, but they have to wait until they find something with the building to get locked in before they put their house on the market. So that's one in Oconomowoc. It'll be about $500,000. The second one, she answered the door and she's got these 2 little twins running all over the place. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And there was already a lockbox on the front door. But you know what? There's no sign out and there is nothing in MLS because I checked before I went. So I walked up and I'm like, oh, a lockbox. This is interesting. So I knocked on the door. She answered the door. And I said, well, I'm kind of coming to a Keller Williams. Your neighbor told me that you're thinking about selling. I said, but I see you already have a lockbox on your door. She says, yeah, they were here and they took pictures, but we cannot put our house on the market until I find a house to buy. She said, all the paperwork is done. It's ready. She says, but obviously these 2 little, they're 18 months old. They're running. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're so cute. She says, yeah, I have 18-month-old twins. I have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old. She says, so I really can't be homeless. I said, oh my gosh, no, you can't be homeless. So, that'll be coming up also. That'll be probably about a 540, 550. And that's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath house. No, she said that they had the paperwork done, but it is not an MLS. There's no sign out. So I can knock on that door. If I would have drove by and there's a sign out, or if it would be popped up in MLS, you can't go there. It has to be a signed contract. So the question is, can a sign be outside before it's an MLS? You have to have a signed contract in order to have that sign up.
And when these are taking pictures too.
I just thought there was a listing that I actually sold and then they ended up re-listing. But the sign was up for almost a week before I saw it in MLS. And I was like, how can that?
If the contract is signed, you can have the post in the front yard. But it could be in delayed. Okay. Yeah, that's illegal. Yep. So the question is, can a sign be in the front yard without it being in MLS? So the way the rules state is you have to have a signed contract. So the contract may be signed, but not entered into MLS.
I mean, it was 4 days, I think. So,
Yeah. Yep.
Because hasn't changed that said that, that's a very important strategy to make sure that you get your listing under contract so someone else doesn't sneak in there. So even if they're not going to, put it on market for a month, still get that listing contract signed. And then the term of the contract will be a month out until.
Yeah. So the comment is when you go for a listing appointment, get that on paper because somebody can slide in between. So I'm in discussion with somebody right now and I was up against Lake Country flat fee and they wanted me to do all my work for 4%. And I don't. I work way too hard. Oh yeah, and I like to get paid when I work. Minor details. So when you take that 4% and you're giving that buyer's agent 2.4, you're stuck with 1.6%. So at 1.6%, keep in mind, and this will be after my year rolls over. So I'm capped right now, but when this closes, I may not be capped yet, depending on what I have rolling in. So I have to give 30% of that 1.6 to the house. Okay. So just thinking with real quick numbers, 1.6 is 16,000, 16 times 3. I got to give, 3,000 to the house of that 1.6. I'm just kind of using round numbers in my head. So then out of that, I have to pay my taxes. I have to pay my printing costs. I have to put my sign in the front yard, which putting the sign in and out is $40 each way. If I do, it's a big house. If I do a drone and a walkthrough, and pictures, that cost me $600. So do you guys like to get paid when you work?
And you're representing them better than.
I take really good care of my customers. If anybody needs paint, I have like 15 gallons of paint in the back of my truck right now because we did a final walkthrough and they forgot all the paint, and my seller's a nurse and she's working 12-hour days until closing now. So I went yesterday and got all the paint out of the basement. Yeah, head on heels and was climbing up on the shelves to get these 5-gallon buckets of paint. But you know, you take that extra step, and well, I do. And most of us really do, especially if we care about our customers, because from this deal is where I'm getting my next deal. It's coming from a referral because I've taken good care of this seller. And then the buyer who's coming to this house, I'm getting a referral from them because they're the ones who are selling in Sun Prairie. So I have $1.5 million riding on this deal. So I have a 570, I have a 500, and I think they have a 500 in Sun Prairie. So I'm at $1.5 million in sales just from one deal. So that's how you really want to take and work and roll over your referrals and your customers. Does that make sense to everybody? I know you guys are all kind of looking and thinking and rolling, and I can see some of your eyes, but really take care of your people and then just work with your referrals on that. Okay. So we are going to, everybody last week expressed a concern that we want to go over CMAs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the MLS site. Now keep in mind, MLS has 2 different sites. So you have your portal into MLS where we look for all of our listings. You guys know that, right? So that's your Flex MLS site. And then there is the Metro. Let me get my screen share on here. Your entire screen. I'm going to pull up my whole screen because I want to show you guys the whole entire site. So when you pull up your Metro MLS, this is your homepage on your Metro MLS. This is where you're going to get all of your classes. They have great trainings and everything on how to find houses, do research. You can pull stats off of here. So when you're going for your listing presentations, your neighborhood stats, and the other site is your Flex site. So met.flexmls.com, and these should definitely be on your favorites. Here's where you're going to do your searches of your properties. Here's where you're going to pull up your hot sheet every single morning before or after coffee, because you really want to be on the ball and know what's out there, especially as newer agents. You need to know the market. So when you're even seeing these new houses, do drive-bys. Drive by that house and think to yourself, why is this house worth $300,000 and this one worth $500,000? It might be the neighborhood. It might be the size of the house. It could be the city. And then look at the taxes also, because different municipalities have different taxes for their properties. Okay. So met.flexmls.com. And for this, you need your password to get into. The other one is metromls.com. Metro MLS is where you will find all of your stats and your classes. So coming into the learning tab, and they just changed all of this not too long ago. So if it looks a little different, that's why. When you come into the learning tab, click on classes. Here is a schedule of all the classes for MLS. You can click into it. They're all doing Zoom classes right now. If you need a little bit of hand-holding, you can also schedule a personal class and go in. The office is on North Avenue. It's like 122nd North, 124th and North. Yeah, it's right by 41. So Highway 41 and North. So all you have to do is click into these classes. They also have a library. So if none of these fit what you want to do, you can go into the video library. You can go into the video library. There we go. And all of the classes are listed from your searches to entering your listings to changing your listings, your stats, your reports, your videos, everything is all right here. So this would be a on your time kind of thing to look into all of that. The one thing that I really like is when you come into Flex MLS Glossary, Your market reports. Has anybody been into the market reports yet? With your market reports, I'm going to pull it up here. Under learning. Yep. So your market reports actually tell you in your different areas what the median sales price is for that property, the average days on market, closed sales, new listings, and total units. If you do not have a record for yourself, you are a part of MLS. This is your record. Charlie, on Tuesday mornings when he does our team meeting, he pulls up stats also. You are more than welcome to use our office stats if you don't have any set for yourself, because you are a part of us. We are helping you. On Saturday, I'm going on a listing appointment with a new agent. We are here to help you guys. She's not even logged into anything yet. I'm going on a listing appointment with her. So because she doesn't have access to anything, we're going to use all of my data. I'm there with her. It's not a lie. We're working together to support this sale, to lock in this buyer and get this listing on the market. So we're here to help you guys if you need anything. Also, if you need any stats, Diana can pull them up for you. In the North Shore office, Charlie or Amanda can pull everything up, or Mandy can pull everything up for you. Okay. So your stats are under market reports. Yep, Flex MLS glossary, and it's market reports. If you can't find anything, unfortunately, you have to know the correct verbiage. You can also click on the search button on the upper right-hand corner and put in market reports. So I'm going to pull one up here for you guys. Market reports. With your market reports, you can break it down into areas. So find the December reports here. Let's do your indicator. I want to come into the Milwaukee monthly market indicator. And here are all your stats. Okay, so play on the Metro MLS site. Look for different stats. You can pull up different areas. You can pull up different counties and find where you really want to focus in. Some people cover 4 counties. It's great when you start. I stick out to Waukesha County. I have sold in Oak Creek. I have sold in South Milwaukee. They were referrals. I don't concentrate in that area because I'm more comfortable out here. I know the area better, but I've sold a grandparent's house. I've sold a referral, in different areas. I do not do anything downtown Milwaukee. I don't know the area. The downtown high-rise condos, I just don't know the area. So I refer those out. But it depends on what you're comfortable with. Some people, like Lindsay Andrews at the North Shore office, I think she was licensed in Illinois. She'd go to Chicago, for God's sakes. She sells everything from Fond du Lac over to Madison. I like to confine myself a little bit. I feel I'm more efficient if I stick to a certain area, but everybody does things a little bit different. Okay. So coming into finding your CMAs. So when you're finding your CMA, what you want to do is focus on an area, and there are different ways of doing it. So when you guys are watching the videos on MLS, if they show you a different way, it's okay. There are many different ways to get to your end. When I'm doing a CMA, do you know what I check very first thing? Anybody? See if it's listed before, but even before I get on MLS.
The hot sheet?
The hot sheet to see if it's on, and somebody beat me to it, yeah. But before I even hit the MLS website, what website do you think I check? Zillow. Do you know why? Everybody else looks at Zillow. So if you go into a listing appointment and they say, well, my house is on Zillow for blah, blah, blah. when you go in there and you have that upper hand and you say, yes, I know, but Zillow is not updated and I can get more for you because I have the direct market stats from MLS because Zillow doesn't update all of their items. Many times people will call you and say, can I look at 123 Main Street? Well, it closed on Zillow 6 months ago. We lost out on that one before I even started working with you. So always check Zillow. Another one that I always check is RPR, Realtor Property Resource. You have to sign up for it. It is free, but it's RPR. Actually, I'm going to pull it up real quick here. Whoops. RPR is Realtor Property Resource. So it's NARRPR.com. NARRPR.com. Like I said, you'll have to register for it, but it is free. You need a password to get in. And actually, they have commercial properties on here also now. And what you can do is stick in an address. And it will give you all of these stats with your taxes from that house, what it sold for, when it was on the market. It pulls up the pictures from the last listing. The one thing I really, really like about this is all the way on the bottom, it tells you your homeowner facts. It'll have anything on here from the properties. It gives you your stats on the right-hand side from area listings. It goes through the median home value. It tells you your school districts. So it's an easy way to find your school districts because people will ask. And in MLS, it's good to put, it asks for your school districts. And people with families always want to know what school district it is. Keep in mind with Arrowhead, out here, we have 13 feeder schools that go into Arrowhead, and they're all a little bit different. And people will want to know what school district you're in, and if you can school choice into that. So these are things to know. Down on the bottom, it gives your legal description. Here's actually my favorite. It's kind of being nosy, but it's their mortgage, when their mortgage was filed. So when you go to a listing, if you see that they are over mortgaged and they have to get X amount of dollars for their house, there's probably a good reason, and it's not because they're being stingy. Maybe they owe a lot on that house. And if they took out a second mortgage, this will be on here also. So it gives you a little bit of hip pocket information on where they're at. If they have a little bit more playroom that their house is paid off, that's really nice also. So this is all information that we are privy to being licensed. Seeing where the mortgage is and when it was sold, who owns it, when the deed was registered. Any questions about this? Okay, so these are two that I always check first. Then I go deep into my research, because if my research is $100,000 off from these two, I did something wrong, which could be. And then you want to start running some different variables.
One little about RPR.
Yep.
When you just put in the address and it pulls up this information.
Yep.
Then when you scroll down, because I just did this yesterday, like it didn't have, for the home that I was looking at, it didn't have right there in that area. It did not have bedrooms, bathrooms.
Yep. Yep.
So then tell me if I'm right. And sorry about last year, but I went to refine and then plug those in. Is that correct? I don't know how you do that if it's not showing in there.
On RPR? No. No, because RPR is just a resource for you. You're not doing your refined search on it. You can. I use MLS for my refined search. So the question was, when you get onto RPR, sometimes these bedrooms and baths are not listed in here. So if the property was never listed as a house for sale, let's say they built it, sometimes this information will not be in here. Also, I'm going to go there. A lot of cities are lazy and they don't put their information on the tax bill. So when you look on the tax bill, when you pull that up, it will not have the amount of bedrooms and bathrooms and square footage. It's because the city clerk, the town clerk, whatever he is, did not put those numbers in to show up on that tax bill. Does that make sense? So then it will not filter into other websites. So for you to put things in here, it's too much work. It's not your job. I wouldn't waste my time.
I just didn't know if that had an effect on that value that they're giving you at the top.
It could, but we have other resources. Yep. Yep. Your changes? Yeah, if you want to change the bedrooms and the bath, I don't focus on this. I just use this as a resource. So when you change, so the question is, when you change the bedrooms, does it give you a different price when you do that? Okay.
Well, we can talk.
Okay. So I am going to go back to Flex MLS. So this is where you should be starting your searches. Now, when you're doing your searches, depending on where you're at, they're different. And I say this all the time because in Whitefish Bay's houses were all built at the same time. When the Germans came in or the Polish came in, and you'll find this in different, and I'm not being segregated, but this is what happened when different communities moved into different areas of Milwaukee, they built the same house. So when you go down the street, I just sold a house on 63rd Street in Wauwatosa. 5 houses in a row are exactly the same. It is the same land and stone. It's the same archway. Up at the top, there's the little porch that nobody uses with the wrought iron fence around it. The exact same house, 5 right in a row. So yeah, so that's what they did. So when you're in communities that have more of a mass population and more houses, it's actually easier to do your CMAs because you have direct comparables. When you get out west, farther west and in different communities, even when you get into Elm Grove, there are a lot of different houses, so it's kind of hard to compare. So you might have a ranch, 1,500 square foot, next to a 4,000 square foot Tudor, next to a 5-acre parcel with a farm and a barn and everything else. So take and really bring down your CMAs, start big, and I'm going to show you guys how to start big and really bring that down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Heartland because we're going to have a lot in Heartland. So what I start with is on your quick search, single family, your next square here is active. What I would like you to do is highlight active all the way through sold. I'm not going to do expired and withdrawn. So right now, I'm pulling up in all of MLS 1.161 million houses. Okay. Come into see all and select date. We want to see the houses that were sold within the last year. If we need to bring that down to 6 months, we can definitely do that, but bring it down to a year. The next we will do is county. Type in Waukesha County, and the more you use this program, the more it knows what you like. So when you type in WAU, Waukesha will pop up automatically, and just click on it. So right now in Waukesha County, I went from 1.1 million to 5,000 houses. Then we will hit municipality, and I'm going to stick in Heartland. So we're down to 145 houses that sold or on the market in Heartland right now. Then we'll get into bedrooms. I'm going to do a 3-bedroom, 3-bath. I'm down to 56. So always watch this number up here. If you can get down to 20, that's when we'll take a closer look at things. If you want 50, you go right ahead. Now, if we were doing this in Whitefish Bay, we may still be at 150 at this point in time. Okay. The next thing is bathrooms. I'm going to do 2 bathrooms to 2. I'm down to 25. So with these 25 houses, next thing is garage spaces. I'm gonna do a 3-car garage. Okay, something's goofy here. I know. Yeah, I do. Isn't this great when we do things live? So, so can you see how fast it changes? So 3-car garage to a 3-car garage. So that 1-1, I'm gonna go backwards and just see. Might have been a 4-car garage. Oh, 3.5-car garage. So right here's your garage spaces. So I'm gonna go back because I can't do a very good CMA if I only have one house to compare it to. So I'm gonna back this up a little bit. And I am going to, I mean, we can definitely keep it that it is a 3-car garage, but I'm gonna back it up to 2, just to see if I get more houses in here. There we go, now I'm at 24. So by playing with these numbers, you're gonna get your houses and get a round number. So when you're going in for your listing appointment, you shouldn't have an exact number, because if you went in and you didn't know, when they say my house is updated to me is yesterday. Their updated might be 20 years ago on a 1970 house. So keep in mind, have a variable of a spread of numbers when you go in, and don't say, yes, your house is worth $350,000. So go in with a wide range, because they may have, I mean, imported marble, or they might have 1970s Formica countertops that have knife marks all over it from cutting on the countertop. Okay, so obviously your value will change with that house. So let's take this one right here. So 24, and I'm actually going to compare it to this house here. So it's a 2-story in Heartland, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, 3-car garage. And this is what I'm comparing it to see what kind of a price we can get on it. So, no, I just pulled that up because I am going to compare it to that house for a market, and I just wanted you guys to see it. I know what that house is, and a lot of times what I'll do, instead of toggling back and forth, I might have just the little notes next to me, just so we can look at it, the square foot. So then what you want to do is pull it up in the list. The next thing that you want to look at is square footage. Now keep in mind, when you're pulling up the list for square footage, this number may have basement square footage in it also. So if I'm going back to this house on Ray Drive, it is at 2,100 square feet. I'm not sure if that includes the basement or not. So what I can also do, I like to work with a lot of tabs, you guys. It drives people crazy. But I'm going to pull up and see if this house has ever sold before. So I'm going to pull up Flex MLS. I know it gets a little confusing, but once, this is where you should practice a lot, and it does get easier. I'm going to pull up this house. And here's all the stats. And I'm going to look at the history. So this house sold in 2014 for $312,000. And it just sold in May for $410,000. Going back to report, you can see that it's 2,100 square foot above ground and 550 square basement finished. So when you're comparing with that square footage, make sure that you know if it's above ground or if they added in that basement finished square foot. Does that make sense? Okay. Sometimes the agents don't put it in separately. So that's where, if you look at the tax bill, so coming on your MLS here, here's your tax information for that house. With your tax info, it will tell you the building square feet, and the building square feet from the assessor is always above ground. They do not include below ground square footage. Okay, so Heartland does put all of their information on here. There are some communities that don't. Waukesha County, or excuse me, Washington County, it's hard to find their information sometimes. So another website that you can go to is Assessor Data. And your assessor data, now that you have to pay for. So it's $1.20 for every assessor's report that you run. So when you run that report, make sure you save it. Don't keep pulling it up 3 times a day because it does add up. And then they'll send you a bill at the end of the month. But I mean, I do quite a bit, but when I get to that assessor's data, I do that if it isn't on the tax report here, and it'll be like $1.20. Sometimes I don't even like to pay it because it's only $1.20. The way they used to have it set up, I would just pay $20 at a time and they take it off. But now they do it online. So you have to pay $1.20 for at the end of the month.
And the assessor data that'll pop if it's in there. Not if not, they're not always in there.
Correct. Washington County, I've had problems with. They don't subscribe to this, but assessor data is redoing their whole site and everything. I just got an email, I think next week. So they're supposed to be pulling in more information.
You get this, a simple page, it just shows the square footage, the last time it was sold. And then there's a little button at the top that says view more.
View more information, yeah.
And then you open that up, and then sometimes it'll give you the picture of the house.
Yeah.
And the layout of the floor plan. Right?
Yep. So here's an assessor's data report. So when you pull it up on assessor's data, and like I said, you have to pay for this, so I download it into a PDF all the time. Your assessor's report will pull up all of the information. They grade it. They tell you if they pulled any permits through the city or the town or the village, which is good to know. It gives you the layout of the property, which is nice, and any improvements that were done. So this is where your assessor's data will give you that information. Okay. So going back, so what I'm going to do now is go through the pictures and the square footage to make sure that they're comparable to the house that I would like to value. So the house that we looked at was 2,100 square foot and a 2-story. What I like to do is click this top box to check them all and then take them away as we go through. So this is a ranch, so I'm going to get rid of that. This one's a ranch, I'm going to get rid of that. This is a 2-story and it's older, but I'm going to keep it for now. Here's another 2-story that's older, but I will, that's only 1,500 square foot. That's way too small. So I'll get rid of that one. Here's a 2-story. Here's 1,500 square feet, so that's too small. Here's a 1,400, that's too small. 2,150, but that's a small ranch, so I bet this 2,150, I'm gonna click on it. I bet that includes some basement finished space. So when we click on it, it brings up the whole listing. This is only 1,300 square foot, so it's half the size. And then 210 finished in the basement. So I'm going to get rid of that one. I'll go back to list. Here's a 1,500 square foot. We'll get rid of that one. 1,500 square, 1,500 square. 1,600. Here's an 1878, but it's a ranch. We'll get rid of that one. See how we're really bringing it down? There's no way to filter with ranches and 2-stories.
So what is the distinction between a ranch versus a house?
Okay. Yep. No, that's fine. So we have a new agent who's new to Wisconsin. So when you're looking at houses, a ranch is a 1-story house. Okay. A 2-story has living space on the 2nd floor as well as the 1st floor. Looking, and what I would do is get on Pinterest and Google houses. Especially, I'm gonna pick on you guys, especially the young people. You guys are really good with the computer. Go on Pinterest and Google different houses just so you get familiar with it. Because if you come to a house and say, oh, I just love your barn style house, when it's really a colonial, they're gonna look at you like you have three heads, that you don't know what you're doing. So go on Pinterest and look at different styles of houses and get the verbiage and the terminology done. I mean, that's a great question. I know when you first start, there's a lot. I would take him out for a beer and just pick his brain, because just knowing the names of the houses, and that's actually really good to bring up. And that's why I like when people chime in on different things, because I don't know what you guys don't know. So asking is a good thing. Coming through, a couple more here we're going to get rid of. 22, 23, 21. Okay, 22, 1900, we're getting closer. So then what you can do is go on the top, and when you click selected, it gets rid of all the ones that you unchecked. So now we're down to 10. 1900 square foot. This one was built in 1920. I wouldn't compare it to a 1994 built house. So we can take that one off. Then we're going to look a little bit closer. 2,700 square foot. Ooh, let's look at the pictures. So the one on Ray Drive is totally updated. Okay, mirrors are something. So 80s. You gotta love the floral cornice boards. Okay, this is definitely Grandma's house. More mirrors.
How important is good?
You know what? The house looks clean. Oh my gosh, you could probably eat off the floors. It does have paneling. It's painted, but it has paneling.
Is paneling good or bad?
Pardon?
Is paneling good or bad?
It depends on what you like. We have, the old ceiling. So looking at the kitchen, and kitchen sell houses. So when we look at this kitchen, and I'm going to bring the one up that we're comparing to. Let's bring up the photos. Let's find that kitchen. Nope, there we go. Okay, so granite countertops, updated lights, has backsplash, stainless steel appliances. There's not a big comparison here, especially when we get into price, because when you redo a kitchen, keep in mind, you can, depending on the size of the kitchen and how you do it, you're running anywhere from $20,000 to $100,000 on a kitchen. So that'll be your update. So going back to this house, if we were to replace all these cabinets, the ceiling definitely needs to be redone. Looking at the doors, these are hollow core doors. And this you'll learn as you look at more houses. So the other house had 6 panel, which is a more expensive door, so higher end finishes. So this one I wouldn't compare to that one. So we'll take that one out. Buckingham Circle. We're only at 1,200 square feet for the first floor. So we'll take out that one. Hill Street, 320, 1,900 square feet. This one was built in 1900. Let's see where we're at with photos. Super cute, nice front porch. This is electronically staged. So super cute when it's staged. Yeah. Tile, still nice. It looks like almost original windows. I can't tell for sure. Well, not original from 1920, but yeah. Okay, I'm going to take this one off too. Okay, this one's a ranch, but it is 1,900 square feet. I'm going to keep it in for fun, and this one is actually right down the street from that one. Here's a 2,300 square foot, 3-bedroom. This is another 1900s house. Totally updated though. Let's look at the pictures. Super cute. But keep in the back of your mind, it's still a 1900s house. So we are getting down here. 1,600 square feet, that's too small. You know what, I'm gonna take out this ranch too. Even though it's right down the street, it's still a ranch. Here's one on Cardiff. 2,000 square foot. I wonder if that includes the basement. I don't think this house is that big. Although all the rooms are on the main floor. Let's look at photos. So as you guys can see, as you're going through this, to do a good CMA, it should take you about 2 hours. So it isn't a really quick fix of, I'm gonna pull up a house and see what it's worth. Really do your research and look through different things. And I'm going through this quick because I do it a lot. When you guys first start, bye Robin. When you guys first start, it'll take you a long time to do a CMA. Book off like the whole morning. And then take and send it to one of us to do a quick review. You know, especially when you're working, we all work with mentors out here, and you guys can send it to one of your people who check all of your contracts and everything, and just say, hey, I did this market analysis. Can you just check it for me? We do it all the time. We're more than happy to help you guys. So looking in through these photos, not a lot of updates here. I'm going to take that one off too. So I'm down to 3 houses here. So I started with 1,500 and we're down to 3. So once you get your houses, let's see why this one is 460. Let's look at the photos. Very nice, open concept. Very pretty. I was in this house. Yeah. Nice yard. Okay, so I have 3 from 355 to 460. They're all similar. So what you can do to pull this all together is come into your CMA, use selected, because otherwise it's going to pull back all those original houses that we pulled up. A full CMA is if you want to compare it to another house. And you know what? We're going to do that. So you're going to hit next step and it walks you through everything that you need to do. So I am going to plug this in because it was an old listing. I can use this MLS number, 793.74. You can put in the address. It's much easier to auto-populate from an existing listing because then it puts all of your stats in there. 16793.74. And we are working on Metro MLS. WireX is the MLS that's out to the west. Metro MLS is the Milwaukee and surrounding areas. So if you don't check one of them, it may pull up 2 listings because WireX has the same numbers and it might pull up a different house. Okay, so make sure that you click your Metro MLS, submit, and it pulls in all that information from that previous listing. It saves you a lot of work. So when we come down to next step, it walks you through page by page. Here are the 3 houses. If you know of another house that was not in here, you can always add a comparable by MLS. So all you do is click the plus, add the next MLS number. There might be one that you saw in a different search that didn't come up in this, so you can definitely add that. Following into your next step, you can make adjustments by square foot, I don't do this a lot because there is not a list from an appraiser that says, if you have a finished basement, it's worth $10,000. If you have an updated kitchen, it's worth $10,000. So I don't do this. I leave my numbers real wide until I see that house, because we're never quite sure when we go in, you know, if they didn't update. Like I said, I've gone into a house and they said, yes, we've updated, and it was 20 years ago. So those teal countertops aren't really in style anymore. We have to do granite. We have to update these in order to be the updated house. I was in a house yesterday, which was contemporary, updated, very, very nice, but they had the Kohler colored toilets. It's not for everybody. When you walk in and you have a black toilet, it's like, ooh, I haven't seen one of those in a while. But, you know, the kitchen was updated beautifully. But that bathroom still had the tile countertops and the black toilet. So there's a lot of different variables in that also. Okay, so the next step is your summary. When you get into your summary, it compares the summary of your sold listings. If you have active listings on here, that's nice also. Wait, we didn't have any active listings. So what does that say about our market? It sucks. There is not one house on the market right now in Heartland that is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. What in Sam hell? So when you go here, we really, really want to push this person to get this thing on the market, because they will have 100% of the attention of the buyers and the market share in Heartland with a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So this is not normal, you guys. We will usually always have a couple of active or accepted offer houses on here to add to this. So 3 is, it's small. Coming in here, the average price and the median price, the low end and the high end. Recommendations. I leave this on, and you can print this whole form out and take this for your listing. So recommended price is between $355 and $408. So when I go in for my listing appointment, in the beginning of our conversation, I would say, so what do you think your house is worth? So I get their opinion first, because A, I don't want to offend them. Because if they're coming in at, oh, I think my house is worth $300,000, I am going to look like a champion here, because we're going to get them a lot more for that house than $300,000. If I come in and he says, oh, it's worth at least $500, I'm thinking to myself, oh, how am I going to work out this one? Because they already think the money's in the bank. It's not worth $500,000 as compared to the other properties. But at least you have it in your hip pocket, and you don't throw these numbers out and they look at you like you don't know what you're doing, or you have 3 heads. Okay. So when we do, come on. When you pop into finish, it gives you your different options on how you can print this out. So you can print out the individual listings. You can print out the stats. I love the side-by-side comparison of all the listings. A lot of times I do every individual property. I may keep them in my folder and pull them out if I need it. Sometimes giving your sellers too much information can not work to your advantage. If they're on board and they're ready to sign the paper, don't bring out more stuff. Sign the darn paper. If they need more information, it's always nice to have a little bit more information to bring out. So I always keep a couple of things in my folder. So when I go, I have my listing folder with all the information that I'm going to give them. And then I have a manila folder in there that I have all of this. And I don't leave that with them unless we sign, because I don't want them comparing my stuff to the next agent that may come in. I'm trying to get them to sign that contract. Okay. So when we get into view, this is what you can print out or what the people see. With MLS, you're already going to have it programmed in with your information. So your name, your phone number, and your picture is going to be on here. This is a picture from the last listing. Here's a map of all the comparable properties. This is the property that we are comparing it to. And this I love. So when I print this out, I actually make notes right on here. So I pull up the properties individually and I write a note on here, updated kitchen, bathrooms need updating, hardwood floors, Vinyl plank floors, vinyl kitchen floor, cabinets need to be updated, countertops need to be updated. So I really look at that listing and I make notes on here. So I can tell this seller why this house sold this much less because of the updates that were not in it. And why that 460 sold because of all their updates. Okay, you need to know this information. Also, then what you want to do is pull all the houses in the neighborhood because they're going to want to know why their house isn't on, or the neighbor's house is not on this list. And A, it's because it was too small or too big or a ranch versus, you know. Okay, so know where you're going, what you're going up against, and where your information is. I also put on here if this square footage includes the basement or the basement is an addition to of the finished basement. Because around here, most people finish their basements off for extra living space.
Connie, do you
Okay.
have a favorite format for printout? There's so many choices.
I print it out as this sits, and it depends if I know who if I've met these people before, if they're friends, I might not print out every individual page. I will just do the comparison pages here. If I've never met them before, I may print out every listing like this so I can show them what we're up against. Sometimes it's hard to bring it down to 3, and then you have a book like this that you're bringing out to them. Like in Milwaukee and Whitefish Bay, it's really hard to narrow things down because the same house is in the 4 neighboring blocks, and they're all land and stone, 2-story, 1,300 square foot houses with $8,000 in taxes.
So I have a question. Let's
Yep.
say you're going on a listing appointment for a referral, you've never met them before.
Yep.
You haven't seen their house.
Mhm.
And you have their address, obviously.
Yep.
But their house hasn't been listed in a very long time, so there's no pictures, there's no data.
Yes. Yes. So the question is, when you go for a listing appointment, what if you've never met these people before? You've never been to their house. It was not listed before, and you have no idea what you're walking into, basically. So when you're talking to someone on the phone, you need to vet them before you go. So I always ask them, how long have you lived in your house? And I can always look it up on the tax bill, but how long have you lived in your house? And have you made any improvements? When were those improvements? Oh, we redid the whole entire kitchen 20 years ago. Fabulous. We redid the whole entire kitchen last year. What does whole entire mean to you? We redid the cabinets and the countertops and the flooring. Perfect. That's a whole entire. Do you have new appliances also? Yep, we have new appliances. Perfect. Versus we did the whole entire kitchen. What did you do? I got new Formica countertops and I painted the cabinets. It's different to everybody, you know, so it's, you know, I have a really tall boyfriend. How tall is tall? You know, so there's different variables. So ask them on the phone when you're going, you know, how long have they lived there? Do they have any improvements made to their house? How many bedrooms do you have? Is your basement finished? Because a lot of times people will finish the basement and not get a permit for it, so it will not be on those tax records. Is your basement finished? Is there a bedroom in the basement? Did you add a bathroom to that basement? So instead of a two bathroom house, it might be 2.5 or 3 because they added that bathroom into the basement. So when you're talking to them on the phone, you want to vet them and get your information before you go in. Because there's nothing worse than walking into a house going, oh, I thought it was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house. And because they had that exposed basement and they finished it off, it's really a 4-bedroom, 2-bath. It's a big difference.
So that's where, like, the big variables come in.
Yes. Yes, and that's where your variables come in between the high and the low is the updates that they've made and any finished basement. If they added a big in-ground swimming pool, like last summer, every house at the swimming pool sold because you couldn't do anything. 2 summers ago, you couldn't sell a house at the swimming pool. Nobody wanted them. There's a lot of maintenance, there's a lot of upkeep, but with last year, everybody being home, everybody wanted a swimming pool. I think Karen would have tackled somebody on the street to sell a house at the swimming pool. She just couldn't get them. I mean, they were sold. Okay? Yeah.
Would you pull 2 separate CMAs to have something that has homes less
updated versus more, or would you just combine all of them in one?
Yep. So the question is, do you pull two separate CMAs or do you combine them all in one? I keep them all in one because then I have some explaining to do and I can feel them out a little bit better. Because if you pull out that, I mean, it depends on how it's updated.
And not go through both of
Mhm.
them. Okay, this house is not updated at all. Like,
Yep.
we'll use A.
Yep.
Versus.
I do one and I have updated and updated in there. So I have a comparison and I can pull something out if I need it. Because you never know what you're going to walk into. They might have everything updated, but they have dogs that chew the cabinets or chew the doors. I mean, when you're looking at different things, you'll walk into a lot of different things. Cat pee. I mean, there's just so many different variables to a house when you walk in that you need something in your hip pocket. Don't have a set price. You always want to have that range that house is worth. And it's really, you don't want to come in and say, well, your house has no updates. It really looks like shit. It ain't worth nothing. I mean, it never goes over well. Versus your house looks really nice. It's clean. I mean, I walked into a house, they just painted it all. Dark blue, burgundy. Like, really, couldn't you do the stupid gray that everybody else is doing? You know, so they just painted, it's clean. It's very clean, but it's so dark. So unfortunately, I'm trying to find the verbiage to tell them that they really need to paint their house before we put it on the market. It's dark. And I can tell it was just done. I mean, they don't even have pictures on the walls yet. Really? Navy blue, burgundy, emerald green. Who uses those colors now? And not that I like gray, but because it's everywhere, but it's so dark. So, you know, we're going to have those conversations and you want to have things in your arsenal because somebody else will have it if you don't. Okay. Anybody else with CMAs? Any questions on how we got to where we got?
Sure. So it had the price range. I'm guessing that it's on the lowest and the highest.
Yep.
It had a suggested price. Was that auto-generated by the MLS?
Yes, good question. Good question. So when we come back to the suggested price, and I'll pull it back up. When we come into that, well, where did we go? There we go. Yep. So it has the low price of $355, the high price of $460, and the recommended, it's an auto-generated number that just averages it out.
Okay, so
It splits the difference. If I know that it's updated, I might just take that out. And you can take that out when you go back into where you're setting, into creating a CMA. So when you come back here and you go to the recommendation tab, you can actually just delete that out and it'll print it without. If I know there's updates. Oh, thanks. 460. Thank you. Okay. Recommended 408. You can just take that out. And if I know that their house is really updated, I might leave that in there and make them look really cool if their house is worth more than recommended. You know, it's finding out people's personalities too, because sometimes you're going to walk in to the Harley house and sometimes you're going to walk into the mayor's house. You never know. Sometimes young people have the house, sometimes grandmas will have the house. And grandmas have really, really nice houses because they're really good house cleaners, but it really needs to be updated. And then sometimes you'll go into a house with younger people and they're so busy, they never clean the darn thing. So it depends on where your value is. And so with the grandma and grandpa, we're going to have to ask less because we pretty much know that they're not going to update it. But for the younger people, you have got to pay a cleaner to come in. Your grout has not been scrubbed like grandma would scrub it. And I kind of throw in a couple of little things. Your grout hasn't been scrubbed like your grandma did for probably a long time because you're so busy with work and you run the kids around and then the dog walks in. So I have a phone number for a cleaner. She will come in on her hands and knees and scrub this down for you really good before we list it. And that's where having your referrals also helps. Anybody else in the window? Yep.
I know it's different in the North Shore, but do you use a radius?
Yes. Yes. So when you're in North Shore and when you're in more populated areas, what you'll do, and even out here when the appraisers come, they usually like to stay, depending on the house, depending on what you can find, within 2 to 5 miles. When you're in Whitefish Bay, it's within a mile on what you're comparing to. Depending on the house, like out here, if we have a farm that we're trying to assess, I mean, if it's in Summit, which is south of Oconomowoc, and we have a farm, let's say it's a 20-acre farm with a house and a barn and a pole shed, we might not find a comparable in Summit. We may have to go to Pewaukee. And that's 8 miles away, 10 miles away. Pardon? Same thing with lake houses. And with lake houses, you're going to compare to that lake because houses are priced different per the lakes. I mean, when you're on Oconomowoc Lake, you're looking at a lot for $2 million. When you're on the Bobbins, you might be able to find a cottage for $500,000. On Okachi, you can't touch anything under $600,000. Wait, there's 1,600 houses and not one for sale at this point in time. So there's that. It's a really sore subject for me right now because I have buyers, and I was at a Super Bowl party with 5 other people from the lake. Nobody knows anybody who wants to sell in the near future. So, you know, it's one of those things, but looking at your radius is also really important. So great point. Anybody online here? Questions?
Who pays for the grandma level of cleaning?
I was just gonna ask that.
Oh, sorry,
Who pays for it? Who owns the house?
seller.
Yep. So keep in mind when you're doing things for a house, and even when you are working through your inspection contingencies, I'm gonna make a little jump with a comparison here. Whoever owns the house usually pays for it. So when you have radon mitigation that you're adding that to that house prior to close. The buyer cannot do anything to that house until it closes. It is not theirs.
Do you like bring that up at the seller consult then? That we may have to pay for a house cleaner?
If it's dirty, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you know what? They want you to be honest. If you want to do it, you can, but I don't pay. I pay to have my own house clean. I don't pay somebody else's. But, you know, we do, and everybody has some referrals that we can go to. Anybody else? We got 17 other people on here. Any questions? Yep.
So for a really hot market like this, what time would you be doing your comparables? For the houses sold, would it be within a year?
I go within a year.
6 months?
Yep. So with everything being so hot right now, I still pull up a year. If I end up with a ton of houses and the prices are crazy, you can definitely bring it down to 6 months. And that's where when you're doing your searches, watch that number on the top to see as it goes down. Because if you're still stuck and like in Whitefish Bay, and I keep bringing up Whitefish Bay because the people on the screen are all from Whitefish Bay in that area, you'll have a lot more houses to choose from with that same architecture, with that same square foot than we do out here. So at that point in time, I might bring it back to a 6-month close versus out here, I would keep it at a 1-year close. Does that make sense? Okay. Anybody else on here? Questions? On your CMAs? And I see we have a bunch of new people. Welcome, welcome. I hope this helped to narrow things down a little bit more for you. And keep in mind, go on the MLS site and do the classes. They're really, really good. And if you have any questions, the hotline or the phone number for MLS, they're really good at answering questions. Don't call and ask how to find a house. But you know, if something just isn't quite working right, every once in a while they do have a glitch. But their classes are really, really good. And they're all recorded. You guys can take a look on that. If you guys would all put in the chat anything that you would like to see for next week. Actually, we will not be having PC next week. We have family reunion next week. So I know that we will be broadcasting it from here, and we're going to do different breakout sessions and work things around here. We do have lunch sponsors. I'm not sure what everybody is doing at the North Shore office. Are you guys doing a group broadcast out by you? Anybody? Does anybody know?
Yeah, we are.
Okay, okay. It's really good if you feel comfortable to get together for the group broadcast and bounce things off of each other. The more we learn from each other, the better we are, especially when it comes to experience and who you talk to and what's on the market. It just makes us all better agents, and we want everybody to be successful. That's why we share with everything. I didn't know anything when I started. I picked everybody's brain, and everything I have, I stole from somebody and tweaked. And I'll do the same thing for you guys. Give you everything that we have. I'll give it. I didn't actually steal it. They gave it to me. And we tweaked everything, and everything, we keep progressing just to make everybody succeed. So next week is family reunion. I'm super excited. I have physically been to family reunion every year since I joined, and it's amazing. It's so, you just get pumped up for new things. They go through great scenarios. They have great business plans. They have great scripts. I've met different people throughout the country. So when I go somewhere, I can always talk to somebody and connect with them. So it's always good.
Connie, what do you suggest I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
What do you suggest we take at family reunion for those of us that are registered? What are some of the
I actually have breakout sessions for new agents, and the breakout sessions for the new agents help you. They help you get more comfortable with your presentations. They give you little tips and tricks on what to do when you're meeting buyers, how to go through, getting your offer. And it's always good to hear from different people. I mean, my voice might be annoying to somebody, but somebody else might soak in a little better. Somebody might explain things a little bit different. So even if it's a class that you were already in, it's really good to go see it. I mean, even with working, going to a class that has assistants to see what they do once you get busier, to hire an assistant or to work through a business plan and setting goals. The goal setting ones are really, really good. Because if you don't know where you're going, you can never get there. Have you ever tried to go on a road trip without having an address? So look at your business as going on a road trip, and you need an address. So you need a final destination and what you'd like to achieve. If you have a goal, you can get it. If you don't have a goal, you can't get it. So those are, Teresa, those are really good ones. Anyone else? Questions?
Thanks, Connie.
Yeah. Good deal. We are done for today. Thank you guys all for joining. I appreciate it. And we will be in touch next week after family reunion to go over everything and get everything done. Go get listings, everybody. Have a good day.